Friends, this is the story of an alternate Earth. A world where, for the past 300 years, superhumans, known as metahumans, have lived side by side with ordinary humans. 30 years ago, a mysterious spacecraft crashed on our planet. Inside was a small child, a child who would grow up to become, just 3 years ago, the most powerful metahuman in the world. Superman. 3 weeks ago, Superman stopped a nation called Borovia from launching an attack on another country named Jarhanpur. That act became an international controversy. And just 3 hours ago, a metahuman called the Hammer of Borovia attacked Superman. Only 3 minutes ago, Superman lost the first battle of his life. He was hurled into the middle of a frozen wasteland, his body battered and broken. In pain, he let out a sharp whistle, a sound that summoned his loyal dog, Crypto. Crypto bounded toward him, playing aggressively as if nothing was wrong. Superman told him quietly, "Take me home." And gripping his master's cape, Crypto dragged him all the way back to their base. The legendary Fortress of Solitude. This fortress would only open when it recognized Superman's DNA. Inside, his AI-powered robots lifted him carefully and began treatment. To calm him, they played an old video of his parents. You see, Superman was born on the planet Krypton. When Krypton faced destruction, his parents placed him in a spacecraft and sent him here, to Earth. In the video, they told him, "You will be happy on this planet." But it was only half the message. The other half had been damaged during the journey. The robots bathed him in concentrated sunlight, the very source of his strength. Soon, he was 83% healed, enough to return to battle. Superman went straight back to face the Hammer of Borovia. The Hammer wanted revenge, angry that Superman had stopped his country's invasion. And here we learn the truth. This metahuman was under the control of a wealthy and dangerous man, Lex Luthor. Luthor was the one orchestrating every move. He knew Superman's fighting style and countered every attack, once again slamming him to the ground. The scene shifts to the area near the Fortress of Solitude. A female engineer working for Luthor had arrived there, but the fortress sank back into the ice before she could approach. The story then cuts to Metropolis. A man named Malik Ali found Superman lying helpless. His condition was critical. Elsewhere, Luthor and his team celebrated. The Hammer of Borovia stepped through interdimensional tunnels and arrived at Luthor's office. And there, the truth came out. The Hammer was actually a metahuman known as Ultraman. Meanwhile, Superman, Clark Kent, was at his day job at the Daily Planet newspaper. His adoptive parents called to congratulate him. His article had made the front page. Lois Lane, a fellow journalist, teased him. "Why does Superman always give interviews only to you?" Meanwhile, the dictator of Borovia was giving his own interviews, saying that his country had good relations with the United States, and that what Superman had done was wrong. The scene shifts to Lex Luthor meeting with the US government. He showcased his prepared metahumans, Ultraman and the Engineer, claiming that if necessary, he could kill Superman. Luthor painted him as a dangerous alien meddling in political affairs, hinting at sinister plans. He even claimed Superman had a secret hidden headquarters and should be brought in for questioning. But government officials refused. There was no proof. We moved to Lois Lane's apartment. Here we discover that Lois and Clark are in a relationship, and she already knows his secret identity. She just likes to tease him at the office. "You can't keep interviewing yourself," she laughed. "Then why don't you interview me?" Clark suggested. "Fine," she said. "Let's do it now." She asked about him stopping the war. Clark explained, "I just prevented Borovia from attacking another country. I destroyed a few tanks, took down a couple of planes, but no one was seriously injured." She pressed further, "Did you even speak to Boravia's president?" "Yes," Clark said. "I took him alone into a desert, placed him on a cactus, and told him, 'If you attack another nation, we will meet again.'" Lois looked at him in disbelief. "So you illegally entered a country, threatened its leader, and that's a country that's been a US ally. And the nation you were protecting doesn't even have good relations with the US." Clark replied, "Jarhanpur is improving. And even if a country isn't perfect, that doesn't give anyone the right to invade it." Their discussion turned into a heated political debate. Lois questioned him as a journalist. Clark grew irritated at her line of questioning. The argument escalated. Clark finally said, "Why are you even asking me this?" Their interview plan completely fell apart. Clark gathered his things and left. Lois muttered, "I knew this wouldn't work." And she wasn't just talking about the interview. The story shifts again to Lex Luthor. Arriving at the Fortress of Solitude with Ultraman, the engineer, and his girlfriend. This time, the fortress emerged from the ice and allowed him inside. Ultraman and the engineer fought Superman's AI robots, destroying them one by one. The engineer could manipulate her body's particles to fight, but Krypto attacked her mid-battle. She quickly trapped him within her particle form. Luthor searched for evidence against Superman. He despised the idea of an alien living above humanity. With the engineer's help, he recovered the damaged part of Superman's parental message. Meanwhile, to keep Superman occupied, Luthor released a kaiju monster. Within hours, it had grown massive. Superman rushed to save everyone from the beast, starting with a little puppy in harm's way. He punched the kaiju, then flew behind it to stop it from smashing into buildings. The monster unleashed fire blasts, but Superman soared into the sky, forcing it to aim upward, away from the city. Then new arrivals joined the fight. The Justice Gang, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. Superman urged them to get the creature out alive, but together they attacked it. Mr. Terrific used his T-spheres to blast the kaiju's heart, killing it right in the middle of the city. Superman lifted the giant body and placed it in a safe location. He knew the Justice Gang, but he wasn't one of them. Suddenly, breaking news flashed on screens everywhere. Lex Luthor had a message. He announced that they'd recovered a video from Superman's biological parents. The broadcast began. "You will be happy on Earth," they said. But now, the missing half played for the first time. "The people of Earth are simple. You will easily rule over them. Take as many lives as needed, carry forward the Kryptonian legacy, and rule without mercy." The world was shocked. They began to believe Superman wasn't here to protect them, but to conquer them. Luthor had turned everyone against him. Superman was devastated. Green Lantern asked, "Is that message real?" Superman said, "I only ever saw the first part. I never knew there was more." Mr. Terrific checked. "There's been no tampering with the video. It's completely authentic." Hearing this, Superman flew straight toward the Fortress of Solitude. From here, the government finally decided to interrogate Superman. The president of Boravia also began speaking out against him even more strongly. After leaving a press conference, the Boravian leader went straight through Lex Luthor's interdimensional tunnel to meet him. Everyone was gathered inside a pocket dimension. And here, even Lex Luthor himself claimed the message from Superman's parents was absolutely real. Superman returned to the Fortress of Solitude, only to find his AI robots completely destroyed. He couldn't understand how Lex Luthor had even managed to break in, and his dog, Krypto, was nowhere to be found. Furious, Superman went straight to Luthor's office. "Where's my dog?" he demanded. The media caught the entire confrontation on camera, and even Peacemaker chimed in with his own comments about it. Broken in spirit, Clark went home, where Lois was already waiting for him. Outside, the Justice Gang was battling an interdimensional creature. Clark told Lois, "I never even saw that entire video. I only saw half of it, and I believed it meant I should help the people of this planet. That's what I've been doing ever since. I have no intention of ruling anyone." Lois believed him. They patched up their earlier fight. Clark admitted, "I'm going to surrender, so they'll take me wherever they've taken my dog." Hearing this, Lois hugged him tightly. Clark whispered, "I love you," and left. Ultraman arrested him, and government officials handed Superman over to Lex Luthor. They transported him through interdimensional portals into a pocket dimension. There, Luthor introduced him to Element Man, a metahuman who could create any element. Element Man conjured kryptonite, weakening Superman instantly. Meanwhile, Boravia was preparing to launch its attack on another country. Lois confided to her fellow journalist, Jimmy Olsen. Everyone thinks Luthor sold weapons to Borivia, and that's why he doesn't want Superman to stop this war. But Borivia never even paid him in full. That means Luthor is pushing this war for some other reason. On purpose. Jimmy contacted one of his sources, who revealed that Superman was trapped inside a pocket universe. Jimmy told Lois. The story shifts back to Luthor. He was mind-controlling hordes of monkeys, using them to flood social media with anti-Superman hate. Krypto was also being distracted, trapped in a virtual game. And in this same pocket dimension, Luthor had imprisoned all his enemies, even all his ex-girlfriends. Element Man's son was also being held here, which is why Element Man obeyed Luthor's every command. Jimmy's source turned out to be none other than Luthor's girlfriend Eve. She liked Jimmy, but she was too afraid of Luthor to leave him. Jimmy asked her about Lex's connection to Borivia. She told him, "If you can find proof, you'll know the truth." Meanwhile, Superman said to Element Man, "If you remove this kryptonite, I can save your son." But Element Man snapped, "Stay quiet." Elsewhere, Lois arrived at the Justice Gang's base. Green Lantern told her, "You know Superman wears special hypo glasses so people see his face differently, right?" "Yes," Lois replied. "I know his real identity too." Mr. Terrific added, "I put a GPS tracker in his bloodstream, nanobots. But when he reached that place, the signal vanished. That means he's definitely inside a pocket universe." "Then we need to go there," Lois insisted, but the Justice Gang refused to help, still mistrusting Superman because of the video message. Green Lantern said, "I know he didn't come here to rule Earth, but the Justice Gang isn't going to pick a fight with the government over this." Frustrated, Lois stormed out, only for Mr. Terrific to catch up with her. "Come on," he said. "Let's at least see where he is." He took her aboard his aircraft and headed straight to Superman's last known location. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor arrived to interrogate Superman, bringing along Malik Ali, the man who had once helped him. Luthor said, "Answer the government's questions, or I'll kill this man." He asked, "Who raised you? Who made you who you are?" Superman stayed silent. Without hesitation, Luthor killed Ali. Seeing this, Superman's eyes burned with rage, and even Element Man began to cry. Luthor simply said, "We'll meet again tomorrow." Back outside, Mr. Terrific arrived at the location. Protecting Lois, he single-handedly took down all of Luthor's people, using nothing but his T-spheres. Lois was stunned into silence watching him fight. When Mr. Terrific examined the interdimensional portal, he realized how dangerous it was. One wrong move and the very fabric of reality could start to tear apart. Inside, Element Man was still sobbing. "Will you really save my son?" he asked Superman. Superman nodded. Element Man dissolved the kryptonite. Superman breathed a sigh of relief, but his strength came from the sun, and in this pocket dimension, there was no sun. Just then, Mr. Terrific and Lois reached the edge of the pocket universe. But they couldn't cross over. Element Man began trying to create a sun. As he worked, everyone around them started shouting. The instant Superman regained his power, he flew to rescue Element Man's son. Then he freed Krypto. They were just about to escape when Luthor's soldiers attacked. Superman fell into a river, clutching Element Man's son. By now, the portal had been opened too long. It was starting to collapse in on itself. Mr. Terrific searched for Superman with his T-spheres, but Krypto thought they were toys and destroyed them. Superman was being pulled toward a black hole. He called out to Krypto for help. Element Man joined in, and together they pulled against the void. Superman fought the black hole's pull by blasting wind in the opposite direction as he flew, just barely escaping. Mr. Terrific used his T-spheres to guide them all to the exit. Everyone made it out safely, but Superman was badly injured. He would need time to heal. Lois helped him into the aircraft, and they left. Back in the pocket dimension, Lex Luthor was furious at Superman's escape. He took out his anger on Eve. Hurt and fed up, Eve secretly contacted Jimmy. "I have everything we need to destroy Lex Luthor," she said. Jimmy was thrilled, but nearby, Ultraman had overheard everything. He captured Eve, and all Jimmy was left with were a handful of her photographs. Lois had brought Superman here to his home, where his adoptive parents lived. This was the very place where Superman, Clark, had spent his entire childhood. Just then, Lois got a call from Jimmy. He sent her some photos, and in the background of those photos, Lois noticed some important documents. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor deliberately activated his portal. Because of overload, the portal began to tear reality itself apart. He was doing all of this on purpose. So Superman would be too busy handling this crisis, while war could break out between the two nations. The next morning, Superman finally regained consciousness. His father told him, "This is the first time you've slept so long." Here, they talked about the message Superman had received from his biological parents. His father explained, "Parents don't decide what their child will do in life. Your choices and your decisions determine who you are and what you'll become." Just then, Clark saw news of the war between the two countries. Far away, Green Lantern was watching the same report. In Jarhanpur, people were holding Superman's flags, remembering him, their symbol of hope. They all called out for him together. Superman was about to go help them, but Mr. Terrific contacted him, saying, "You have to come here first. Otherwise, not just Jarhanpur, Earth itself won't survive." Meanwhile, Metropolis was being completely evacuated because the reality tear nearby was getting worse. Back at the Daily Planet, Lois explained to her boss that Lex Luthor had made a deal with the Boravian president, offering weapons in exchange for half of Jarhanpur. After the invasion, Lex planned to take control of that half and crown himself its ruler. In fact, everything happening right now was being orchestrated by Lex himself. After hearing this, Lois's boss gathered all the top journalists, and they boarded an aircraft with her. The dimensional rift was now splitting Metropolis in two. Lex took off in his office, which was actually a flying aircraft. One building was about to collapse on a crowd of people. A woman was trapped, but Superman swooped in just in time to save her. Mr. Terrific told Superman that Lex must have the code to stop all of this. But suddenly, Ultraman and Engineer attacked them. Superman fought the two, but Lex used his control over Ultraman to gain the upper hand. Lex even sent Engineer's nanotech particles into Superman's body, which began attacking him from the inside. At the same time, Lex ordered the Boravian military to attack Jarhanpur. Tanks started rolling toward the people. But Superman gathered his strength, flying into the sky in an attempt to burn the particles out of himself. Engineer and Ultraman followed him, ready to kill him. Superman was on the brink of death. But then, high above in space, he flipped downward and dove at full speed toward Earth. At that velocity, Engineer couldn't withstand the impact. She was knocked unconscious. Superman expelled the particles from his body and could finally breathe again. It was then revealed that Ultraman was actually Superman's clone. But unlike the real Superman, Ultraman wasn't intelligent, he was dim-witted, and Lex controlled his every move. Right now, Ultraman was overpowering him. Meanwhile, the Boravian army attacked Jarhanpur. A young boy stopped Superman's flag from falling to the ground, remembering his hero. Green Lantern arrived to help, followed by Hawkgirl and Element Man. Together, they stopped the battle. Hawkgirl grabbed the Boravian president and dropped him from the sky. Seeing all this, Lex told Superman, "I'm not trying to kill you because you stopped the war. I started that war myself, so I'd have an excuse to take your life." Ultraman attacked, firing laser beams at Superman. Superman realized he couldn't win this fight head-on. So he called for backup, whistling for Krypto. Superman told Krypto, "Take out all the toys." Krypto destroyed Lex's cameras one by one, cutting off his control over Ultraman. Superman defeated Ultraman. Lex then sent in more soldiers, but they were nothing against Superman, who incinerated them with his heat vision. Suddenly, Ultraman returned again, so Superman hurled him straight into a black hole. Mr. Terrific arrived, saying they had to close the rift. They both reached Lex Luthor's office. While Mr. Terrific worked on sealing the rift, Superman spoke to Lex. "I'm just as human as you are. I make mistakes. I get confused. I feel pain. Those things make me human." Lex replied, "Say whatever you want, but the government has ordered me to eliminate you." Just then, Krypto attacked Lex and wouldn't stop, even when Superman told him to. Mr. Terrific successfully stabilized the rift. Lex's entire plan was exposed on live TV, and everyone saw that he was the real villain. The Boravian War came to an end. Element Man joined the Justice League. Lex's prison was emptied of its wrongfully held inmates. And Lois and Superman reconciled. The Fortress of Solitude's robots were repaired, and that's when Superman's cousin, Supergirl, appeared. Krypto was actually her pet, and she was the one who had trained him to be so aggressive. And with that, friends, our story ends here. Tell us in the comments how you liked this explanation, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.